In the case of negative exponents, instead of multiplying a base by itself multiple times, you'll be multiplying the reciprocal of that base by itself multiple times. So the negative tells you what the power in the reciprocal will be. For instance, 8 to the negative fourth becomes 1 over 8 to the fourth, which in the expanded form is 1/8 times 1/8 times 1/8 times 1/8, which in standard form becomes 1 over 4096. With negative exponents, because you're multiplying the base by its reciprocal multiple times, if the base is a number that is greater than 1, then the resulting standard form of the negative exponent will be less than the base. For instance, 5 to the negative second power is 1 over 5 to the second power, which is 1/5 times 1/5, which results in 1 over 25. 1/25 is less than 5. However, if the base is less than 1, a fraction, then the resulting standard form of a negative exponent will be greater than the base. For instance, 1/5 to the negative second power. The reciprocal of 1/5 is 5 over 1. So 1/5 to the negative second power is 5 over 1 times 5 over 1, or 5 times 5, which is 5 squared, which equals 25 in standard form. 25 is greater than 1/5. If you see a negative base, make sure that it's in parentheses before you start multiplying it by itself multiple times. For instance, in the first situation, negative 4 is in parentheses and there's an exponent of 3. So you'll multiply negative 4 by itself 3 times, resulting in the answer negative 64. In the second situation, negative 4 is in parentheses, but the exponent is 2, which is negative 4 times negative 4. And because it's a negative times a negative, the result will be positive 16. Why is it in the first situation you get a negative result, and in the second situation, the standard form is a positive? Think about what it is in the exponents that allows a negative base to end up with a positive result. Now in the third situation, there is not parentheses around the negative 4. So, in fact, this number is not negative 4 base, but rather negative 1 times 4 to the second power. In this case, that would be 4 times 4, and then multiply the result times negative 1, which gives you 16 times negative 1, which results in negative 16. Different from negative 4 in parentheses to the second power, which results in positive 16. Watch out for the parentheses and make sure that you determine if the number is going to be negative or positive. Now you've learned how to evaluate negative powers and negative bases. Remember, with negative powers, you're just taking the base and multiplying its reciprocal by itself multiple times. With negative bases, if they are not in parentheses, then it's not actually a negative base. Go practice these two skills before moving on to exponent powers. You will now learn more in depth about each of the exponent laws, specifically the product of powers law, the quotient of powers law, and the power of powers law. While you're listening, make sure to take notes. Make sure to do each of the exercises at the end of each video. If you need general information, come back to this slide and look at the picture provided. The product rule states that if you see two exponent forms where the bases are the same multiplied together, then you take the base and add the exponents. In this case, 3 to the third is multiplied by 3 to the 7th, which in expanded form is 3 multiplied by itself 10 times. That is the same thing as 3 to the 7 plus 3, which is 3 to the 10th power. In the next example of the product rule, you'll notice that one of the exponents is negative. Even though one of the exponents is negative, you still follow the same rule. You keep the same base and you add the exponents. In this case, negative 1 plus 2 would give you 1, so the base is 7 to the first power, which is 7. Let's look at that in expanded form. 7 to the negative first power is 1 over 7 to the first power. If we multiply that by 7 to the second power, we get 7 to the second power divided by 7 to the first power. 7 times 7 divided by 7 will give you 7 to the first power, which is 7. The product of powers law is one of many exponent laws. Before learning the next ones, go practice what you just learned with the materials your teacher has provided.